Hello crafty friends, this is a no-sew mini art journal that I made from scrap papers. It's really easy to make and beginner friendly. Also, you don't need very many supplies. For my cover, I'm going to use a small box. I love using boxes like this for all my journal covers because it's basically already got a spine and is in the shape of a book. There will be minimal cutting and adjusting to get it to look like a book cover. So I'm just going to cut down the one side to open the box flat, and then I'm going to use my cutter to trim off all the edges and make it nice and neat. If you don't have a cutter, you can also just use the scissors. For the inside and outside covers, I'm going to use scrapbook cardstock. I'm using this because it is of a heavier weight and it won't buckle and tear easily when we're applying the glue for the cover. So I place my cover flat over the cardstock and then I cut around it approximately 3 to 4 centimeters wider than the actual cardboard. I then apply a good layer of, I'm using Mod Podge, you could also use craft glue, and then I press the cardboard cover onto my scrapbook paper. I then use a bone folder from the inside, pressing outwards to get rid of any bubbles or any ripples. We're then going to press all the sides inwards and press firmly to create a good score line. We're then going to cut our corners. Using a sharp scissors, we're going to cut each corner to allow it to lie flat when we fold it in. Don't cut exactly diagonally. Do cut at a sort of a curve, leaving the middle of the curve where the point of each corner is. Apply glue and then press the flaps firmly down. For the inner cover, I'm going to measure my cardstock before I cut it. I'm going to place it over, leaving approximately 2 to 3 millimeters from the edge, top left corner, and then I'm just going to mark the same on each edge. I'm just going to use my cutter to snip that down to size. Then apply another lot of glue or Mod Podge with a paintbrush all the way to the edges, and then press your inner cover over the glue. And then again, use the bone folder or even just your hand to try and press out any air bubbles, working from the center of the book outwards. Once the cover is dry, we're going to bend the creases to create the spine of the journal. Do this quite gently. Sometimes the paper can tear. If yours does tear, do watch to the end of the video. I'll show you a way to fix that. We are now going to add the signature holders. As this is a no-sew journal, I'm going to use this black thin elastic. You can buy this in a haberdashery store or even a craft store. So just press it over your spine and we're going to knot it. Pull it as tight as you can without tearing the corners where the elastic is going to sit on the book. So just do this. You can do 2 or 3 or just 1, depending how thick your spine is and how many signatures you want. The trick is to pull this as tight as possible so it keeps the papers nice and tight. For the actual pages, I'm just going to use my scrap paper. I have copious amounts of 12-inch by 12-inch cardstock that I want to get through, so I'm just going to use bits of that. I cut the first one just to measure the size, and then I measure the other pieces according to this. I'm just using a ruler to tear the edges. I don't want this neat and tidy. It is a scrappy journal that I'm going to use for art journaling, so I really don't want neat edges. Just find whatever papers you have, even if they have some texture. This is a piece of old encyclopedia and I've punched some holes in it for a previous project, and I'm going to put that in too. That adds additional texture and a lot of interest. You can put as many or as few pages as you want. I'm putting 10 pieces in each signature, so that is 40 sides, like 40 writing sides or drawing sides, depending how you are going to use your journal. I would really love if you subscribed to my channel. Also hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Don't forget, this is the home of the Full Deck Challenge. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. If you're there, do follow me there too. On Instagram, you will see all the latest projects as they are uploaded. And on TikTok, I'm having a little bit more fun, doing some trends. You'll see a little bit more of me and a bit of fun stuff. Thank you so much for your support. Once we have all our pages together, we're going to stack them one on top of the other, and then we're going to slip them under one of the elastics, and that'll be the first signature. So my cover was not totally dry, so I did create some cracks on the corner, as you can see here, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to cover that up. I'm going to take an additional piece of cardstock, about a 5 centimeter width, just as wide as the spine and just a little bit over, and I'm going to stick that over the top. This will also create, I think, additional interest to the cover. I've done this before, even though it hasn't torn, just to create some contrast in the cover. So I'm just going to apply some Mod Podge here over the entire spine, including the elastic, and then just slightly over the edge, about a centimeter or so, and then just press the piece of cardstock over that and stick it well. Your journal will be finished at this point. I want to add just a little touch on the cover, a little bit of decoration. So I'm going to take a bright turquoise cardstock and do just a rough hand-drawn heart. I'm going to cut that out. And although this is a no-stitch journal, we haven't done any stitching to actually assemble the journal. I'm going to do a little bit of stitching just around my heart to create some lovely texture, and that's going to be a little embellishment for the cover. This is definitely optional. You don't have to do this. I decided to add this at the very end, just to make the front cover a little bit more interesting. As you can see, I did some machine stitching around the heart with some black thread and did some bunching thread too. If you'd like to see how I do that, I do have a tutorial on doing sewing on paper and bunching thread, and I'll put a link to that video in the description box below. I'm then using just a rough cut piece of fabric as the tie for my journal. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope you were inspired to create your own scrappy journal. I think it is super easy and super fun. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.